Well, welcome to the Afterword.
From the loft.
From the loft.
Lisa is still looking over us.
Yeah. It's good to be with you all today. I'm joined by Eric.
Lisa's owner.
Betty. Oh, go ahead, Eric. I saw the mic raise. What do you got? What do you got for us?
Just for the record, Lisa's name is Cooper. Not Cooper. Oh, my goodness.
You don't even know your own dog's name.
The Hogan's dog messed me up. I'm going to blame it on Hogan. Like, Copper. Copper is the name of my dog.
I think she prefers Lisa because it's not nearly as confusing. Cooper, Copper.
Yeah, I got confused right now.
Yeah, you did. So Lisa, no one messes
Cooper.
that up.
All right, Lisa Cooper. I'm joined by Eric, Betty, Kirsten, and I'm Vince. We are here to, the point of this Afterword is to talk about the sermon, the text or the sermon that we had just walked through the Sunday previous, to explore a little bit deeper things that could come out, ways we could apply it, ways we could discuss it. And really our hope is that these discussion questions or discussion topics are coming out throughout the week anyway, in townships or in casual conversations as you're considering what we're working through on Sundays together. So that's our point. That's our hope. And here we go. I'm going to start with a question that's going to get us all going, that's going to lead right into our discussion for the day. And the question is this: what right now, over all things, if you could say one thing right now that you are absolutely loving, what is it?
Over all things makes it like a really hard
thing. Over all
thing.
things.
I can't answer that. One thing I'm loving.
One thing right now that you're loving. You define it however you want.
One thing I'm loving right now, and I actually wish we had in this very cold space, is a fireplace.
Really? I thought you would have said God.
Yes, that's why I was hesitant to answer that question.
Okay, a fireplace.
But no, we have a wood burning insert, and it is toasty and warm, and I think there's few things I like more in the winter than sitting by the fireplace.
And having to warm up because you're so cold.
No, but it's just delightful. Like, it's warm. You watch the fire dance. Yeah, you just kind of, it's just so cozy, and it is delightful.
Fire dance reminds me of what Eric said yesterday about the rain dance he had to do in Iowa, which I'd like to see.
I'm doing it right now. Can you see?
All right. How about you all? I'm stalling because I don't have an answer yet.
One thing that I love and have loved for a little while is taking walks. And so I go out when it's cold. I go out when it's dark, when it's light. 1 or 2 walks a day I really, really am enjoying.
We talking power walks?
I usually walk pretty quickly unless my family's with me.
Are you getting like some good hip movement? Are you really?
Can you show me a good hip
No,
movement?
are you really?
Are you wearing a fanny pack? That's what I really want to know.
Leg warmers?
Yeah, no.
Spandex.
Are you pumping?
Involved?
Do you use weights? Do you hold hand weights when you walk?
He uses the Velcro weights that go around his wrists.
Ankles.
Yeah.
His ankles.
I don't know. I think I probably look pretty normal when I walk. Maybe not, actually.
What? A mile? 6 miles?
The walks I do in the morning are usually 3-ish miles or
Really?
so around kind of neighborhood. So part of my personality is that I like to do the same things over and over again. I love ritual. Usually I don't like a lot of change. And so I'll find what I think is the best way to do it, or in this case, the best route. I'll do that same route every time. So it's always the same route. I have a different afternoon route. That's my afternoon route. And I'll take the afternoon route home, and that's how I do it day after day.
See, when I walk in our neighborhood, I try to do something different every time.
Oh, really?
So if it's like a cul-de-sac that I've never walked down, or walk the opposite direction, or whatever it is, I try to do something different every single time. But I don't like change either, so it's kind of ironic.
Do you listen to things while you walk? I can picture you like listening to some like power pump up music and feeling like a main character.
He's got his Discman. He's got it on the clip
with
on
Creed.
his belt. Yeah.
The
Creed's
best
on
of Creed.
replay over and over and over and over. No, that's another thing interesting about me. Maybe it's interesting. I don't like listening to a lot of things. I just like to be quiet. Maybe it's because I'm getting old. I don't know. Even in the car, I usually do not have music or the radio on.
I'm
just
the same.
want it to be quiet.
I just like silence.
Yeah.
What's a
Betsy?
Discman? I'm just kidding. I know what that is.
No, you don't.
I had one.
You saw one in a museum once.
You had one as like it being ironic.
Yeah.
It was my mom's. I actually am struggling to answer this question. I was thinking of things that like I've kind of enjoyed recently, but love.
What have you kind of enjoyed?
I have enjoyed learning about how to make bread, sourdough. I'm in my sourdough era, so.
Everybody has one.
Yeah, I've been in it before and then quickly exit it, but I think this is the most consistent I've ever been. So.
That was a close second for me because I'm doing the same. And oh man, the second it comes out of the oven, you're supposed to wait like 30 minutes.
No, you can't do that.
I cut the heels off right away. Just a really small slice, put a lot of butter on. I burn my hand every time, but I'm like totally worth it.
I call it tax it. So Cassie will take it out and there's that crispy part right on top, right in the middle. I'll just take that piece off. And that's what I have right away.
Oh, I do that too. I've also been making things with like discard, so it goes beyond the bread.
Wait, making things called what?
With the discard. Like
the stuff that you throw away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gotcha. I thought it was a new kind of greeting card that I hadn't heard about before.
It's like a disc man, but it's discard.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you make?
I made granola the other day with it. It actually was pretty good. I've made like banana bread and brownies.
Wait, how do you make granola out of something that's not granola?
Well, you just add it to like the granola recipe.
Gotcha. Did you know that was possible?
That's new for me. I'll have to look that up.
Wow. Kirsten has been my mentor in every other area of sourdough.
Oh, how the turntables have.
Here we are now.
How about you, Vince? What have you been loving besides me?
God.
All right. So, Eric, you want to give a read?
Yeah.
I am loving time. I really am not trying to one up anybody. This is what first came to mind. I'll mention a couple so it doesn't sound like I am trying to. I'm loving being in my shed doing woodworking. But that's not what I was going to say. I'm loving being with my family right now. Just being around, having older boys who are out of the house but coming back. And yeah, I'm enjoying that, loving that.
And snuggling with Steve. You really love to snuggle with Steve.
Let's get a recap of Sunday, Eric, if you can. Wasn't a text, so you're not working through a text. Just work us through some of the key points.
Yep. So it was the second Sunday in what I think will be a 3-week. I said think because every week is different than I had thought. I think it'll be a 3-week series. So we were building on the first Sunday. The first Sunday is the aim of spiritual formation is our growing love for God, which then raises the question, how does our love for God grow? So that's the question we asked yesterday. There's 2 things we work through. I think that was a good foundation before we start talking about what are the things that our role is, like what do we as Christians do. So the first thing we looked at was that our love is always a response to something else, to something the object of our love. So in the case of God, God's always initiating something about himself, revealing himself to us that then our loves respond to. So always a response, we're always receivers. And then we talked a little bit about how the objects of our love shape us. That we can think of a million examples, even like the 4 things that we shared earlier today, which we'll get there. In some way, those are marking our life and are determining how we spend our time and our money and those sorts of things, which is natural because the things that we love, we tend to give our time and money and energy and attention to. That in turn shapes us. So we looked at those 2 dynamics about how our love for God grows, and then we answered the question by saying our love for God grows as a response to God graciously revealing himself to us. And the place that we see God's glory, the place that we see God's character the clearest is in Jesus. So makes sense why we talk about the gospel a lot and why Jesus is central to at least the evangelical faith.
Yeah, it's good. Thanks. Something you said yesterday a couple times, and sometimes I do this in the college Bible study. I try to get people to kind of argue with each other. So I'm going to do it right now. You said our love, in whatever way, you're talking primarily about God, is always, that's the word, always a response.
It's a big statement.
Always? Is our love always a response? Discuss. Any rebuttals? Can you think of times where it's maybe not a response?
I can think of songs where I don't know if these are songs, but the lyrics go something like "I loved you before I even knew you," or ideas like that.
Well, what music you listening to?
I don't know where that's from.
Debbie
that's
Gibson?
from something, I think. Yeah.
I think that's Twyla Paris.
So I guess in that case, we could say I love the idea of you, but I don't think we could ever say I loved you before I ever met you. I don't know. Maybe not. Push back if I'm wrong.
Other thoughts? Push back? He's looking for it.
What are those Christian songs?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
So that's like, and I love the idea of you. Like I had a dream in my mind and you fulfilled what that dream would be like. But I don't think that applies to God, because I think that a lot of the times the things that we hope that God might do or who he would be are wrong, and we put our hopes in those things. And so we can feel disappointed with who God is or how he acts because he doesn't fulfill our selfish desires or things that we had maybe dreamed about. So I don't think that's probably true. Sorry, Debbie. That's not true.
Yeah, if somebody knows what song I'm vaguely remembering, email us. I'd love to hear that.
Well, say the line maybe again.
Something like "I loved you before I even knew you," or something. Before I ever met you, I loved you. I don't know. I don't know. Something like that.
I feel like what's happened is there's a line in a song, and that's how Eric heard it, but it's probably like
nothing like that.
It's just, I don't know. I make up words all the time to songs because I don't know what they are, but I'm like, I like my version. So
well, it sounds like a romantic thing that a pop song would say.
Maybe.
Huh. Are you thinking about the?
He's looking it up.
Are you thinking about the song "Call Me Maybe"?
No, I don't.
Eric
No, I don't think it's that one.
Yeah. I think that's what it was. I'm trying to get to the line. Okay. Anyway, I
just met you, and this is crazy.
Yeah.
You don't know. Oh, here's my number,
So
but call me
Call
maybe.
me.
Something like that, Eric?
No, it was older than that.
Okay.
Eric is a big fan of that.
I don't know. I'm thinking about the Gospels and the people that cry out to Jesus who are in need. Like I read the other day about the blind Bartimaeus, who called out to Jesus because he had a need. And I don't know, maybe his response was God had already put that love in him, but he was actually calling out to Christ because he wanted something from him, because he needed healing. And so it wasn't necessarily that he was responding to God's love, unless he's responding to what Christ could do for him, which Christ is an expression of God's love. But I don't know. I wonder, as we consider what it is coming to the Lord, as you consider salvation stories, and when we're transformed from death to life, are those always a response to God's love, or is it coming out of a felt need, and then we realize that God is the one that's going to fulfill that? And I know as you take that apart, ultimately, we love God because he first loved us. But does God's love then put us in a place of need so that we'll see that need and turn to him? And so I don't know. Yeah,
it makes me think about the stories that we hear, especially coming out of the Middle East, where someone will have a dream about Jesus or about God in some way. They have a desire, they have a longing for it. They don't have all the details. They don't know exactly everything about that. But then when they do hear the gospel, then the pieces fit. Yeah. But even that is still God initiating and giving them a dream.
By the way, I'll say I agree with you. But it isn't, anytime a word like always or every time is used, I begin to ask the question like,
really?
is that always? Yeah. I wonder, one thing I was just thinking as you all were talking is, are there times where we don't realize we're responding because God has loved us first? So I think of like the dream situation, or like if it was Bartimaeus, I don't know the reference you're using. They were responding, or they were acting, I would say, but do they know that they're actually responding to what is a love toward them? That's the closest I could get to tearing apart the word always. But That was profound to me yesterday, Eric, when you said that our love, especially for God, or primarily for God, is always a response because he loved us first. Whether we recognize it or not, it's true that our love for him is always a response to what he's already done. That's helpful.
Yeah, thanks. It's helpful for me too.
We had a question someone sent in. Let me read the question so that I make sure to phrase it correctly. Let me get off the lyrics to Call Me Maybe and get to... Here is the question. The question is, since God is the one who reveals his glory to us, are there things that we do that keep us from seeing and responding to his glory? Can he be revealing it and we miss seeing it? Does that question make sense? I think it's a great question. Since God's the one who's revealing his glory to us, are there things that would keep us from responding to that? What do you all think?
I mean, obviously sin, if we're in sin in our lives, that's going to keep us from seeing or responding.
Okay.
But that feels like too easy of an answer, because I think there's also in Scripture you can see there's times that God is silent or God hides himself. I mean, David says, "Don't hide yourself from me. Restore to me the joy of salvation." And so I think that it's more complex than probably what there's not a formula there.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, the reason I feel a tension with this question, because on the one hand I would say absolutely yes, there are things or attitudes or things that we do or don't do that keep us from being aware of how God is revealing himself to us. I can think of lots of those examples. Hopefully we hit some of the next couple of weeks. The tension that I feel though with that is, on the other hand, if God is sovereign and he wants to show himself to me, I mean, he certainly he could do that regardless of what state I'm in or whether I'm looking for it or whether I'm aware of it or not. And so that's why I feel a tension. Maybe that's just a tension that we just hold, that yes, there are things that we can do. The biggest thing that comes to my mind is being so stinking busy and like thing to thing that we don't slow down. That's the biggest thing that comes to mind. I think plays a big part. Yeah. And at the same time, if I'm incredibly busy, and there's stories of this all over the place where we're not looking for God necessarily, but he still reveals himself to us. Yeah. So I feel a tension there.
I think the tension comes in how we expect God to reveal himself to us. And so I think God is sovereign and he gets to choose how and when he will reveal himself. But I think there are times as believers that we're hoping he will reveal himself and he chooses not to. And so that comes with disappointment and frustration. And then there's times that God reveals himself to us in times that we're not expecting it, or there's no reason that we would even deserve, not that we ever do, but that we would have any reason to expect him to do that.
I mean, the answer that I thought of initially was sin too, but I also was thinking about the conversation we had last week, like when we avoid spending time with the Lord or going to church or being in the Word or in prayer because we aren't feeling a certain thing. Like, I wonder if that could play into this answer too, like when we're intentionally avoiding things that the Lord has given us to be able to see more of his glory.
Yeah, I think it does touch on maybe the tension I'm feeling. It touches on that bigger tension in the Bible between God's sovereignty, but also our responsibility. We read both that we're supposed to work out our salvation, where we in a good way strive and put effort toward it, and at the same time can do nothing without God enabling or God revealing himself. And so maybe the answer is kind of trying to hold those things together. And my hope is over the next week or two to tease out some of those things more practically that hinder that maybe on our part.
Yeah. Is part of the tension too, I'm about to try to think out loud here. Part of the tension also that what you're saying, Eric, is if God desires to reveal his glory to us, there is nothing that we can do to prevent him from revealing that glory to us.
I think that's true.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the irresistible call.
Well, like Paul, right? On the road to Damascus.
Right.
He was a great example of it.
So there's nothing, on the one hand, there's nothing that we could do to prevent God from revealing his glory to us if that's what God so chooses to do.
Yeah.
At the same time, to hit on what everybody's saying, I think something we are desperately horrible in is what's the wording I'm trying to being prepared to experience His glory. And some of it's what you said, by some of the disciplines that we could put into place. We're actually putting ourselves in a posture of reception. And we're so busy, like you said, Eric, or we're so preoccupied with other things or whatever it is, that we're hindering our own experience of what God is revealing to us by what we've chosen to put in front of that.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that.
I think there's also times, though, that it's just not time for God to reveal His glory to us. I was thinking about in Acts 3, there's a lame man, and it says, a lame man who was carried daily to the beautiful gate of the temple in Jerusalem where he would beg for money. And so he was brought to the temple stairs every day. And it says that he was brought there for years. Like he had been lame and had been there for years. And it's speculation, but in all likelihood, I mean, it's the temple in Jerusalem. So in all likelihood, it's the temple that Jesus visited. And so there's, again, complete speculation, but he had been carried to the temple stairs for years and years. And there's a good chance that Jesus had been there and walked right past him as he sat on the temple stairs. And it wasn't until Peter and John came past him after Jesus had resurrected and gone to heaven that they then looked at him, and he says the famous, I have nothing to give, but in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk. And the man was healed. And so just considering, like, there is a chance that lame man had seen Jesus. Jesus had walked past him, and Jesus chose not to reveal Himself to that man at that point because it wasn't time for that to happen. And so I think it's probably the same for us, that we have these times and these moments that we are enduring, we are doing the things that we know to do, and yet it's not time for God to reveal His glory to us.
Yeah, it makes me think of Jesus when He's preaching. There's massive crowds He's preaching to, and not everybody He preached to saw His glory and followed Him. Like, what's happening there? And with Paul and the apostles, they're preaching to everybody. Not everybody responds. The people are hearing the gospel clearly, yet they're not seeing God's glory in it. Their eyes haven't been opened. The veil, in Paul's words that we looked at yesterday, hasn't been lifted. And so there is absolutely an element of, like, maybe with this person you're referencing, Kirsten, like God just hadn't opened his eyes or softened him, regenerated him by the work of the Spirit.
Yeah, it's good. So the second part of the question was, can God be revealing it, His glory, and we miss seeing it? I think we've talked around that some. I think I would go back and say yes and no. Yes, we could. I
think one other quick thought on that. I think in Paul in Romans 1 gets at that a little bit too, but more of a general way. Like we have the mountains and the sunsets and the sunrises, and all that to some degree is God revealing His glory.
And we're without excuse.
Yeah. But not everybody who sees that attributes that glory to the Creator.
Yeah. Because they've exchanged the truth of the Creator for a lie.
Yeah.
I think too, sometimes we're looking for God's glory in places that He's not revealing it to us at that time. So we're looking for it in a particular way. Like we're looking at it in healing, or we're looking at it that God would bring restoration, and those aren't the ways that He chooses to reveal His glory. And so we miss it because we're hopeful to see it in a particular way, and that's not what He's ordained for us.
That's interesting, because I hadn't thought about that before. So it could be that we are almost in a sense requiring God to show us Himself in a particular way. And if He doesn't do it in that particular way, then we may not see it. We're not open to however God may reveal Himself to us.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that recently. And just still wrestling with losing Ezra and all that came with that. And, and I think often when someone's sick and suffering, our minds immediately say, well, wouldn't it bring God the most glory to heal them instantaneously? And thinking about the fact that I think that's probably a wrong narrative, because I think what brings God the most glory is the fact that he held Ezra's faith. And so like a miracle of healing would have been incredible, but it would have just been a temporary solution to a long-term problem. Like Ezra would have died eventually, because it's what we all face. And so maybe it's our misunderstanding of what's bringing God glory. Like maybe it's that what actually brings him glory is that he holds our faith so that we have eternity with him. And so, I was looking for his glory in a miraculous healing, and really what we received was his glory in a miraculous sustaining of faith.
Which, can I keep asking another question?
Sure.
Which raises another interesting question in my mind. Kirsten, you had touched on this earlier. I don't know if it was before we started recording or after. Like, how do we deal with the dry seasons, the deserts, where God doesn't seem like God's speaking at all? Do you all think it would be accurate to say, like, when we are in a desert, the dark night of the soul, this is a normal experience, that when we are in the middle of it, it could very well be that God is still revealing himself to us, but we are not aware of it, receiving it, because maybe our expectations are wrong or we're distracted by something else? Is that, and we're speculating a little bit, I think, like, is that a pretty likely scenario? Or is it, God he's just quiet, period. There's nothing you could pick up on because he's not revealing himself at all. Or maybe it's just situation by situation. It's hard to say because every situation is so different.
I think it could be both. I mean, I don't think it's either or. I think it's both and. I mean, I think there are times that we're not seeing it, or we're not understanding it, we're not receiving it, we're not in a place to receive it. But even as you're talking, I just think about the fact, like in the garden, Jesus cried out to God 3 different times, and God did not respond to him. He was silent. And so Jesus was in this place of just desperation and grief and anxiety about what he was about to do, and he cried out to God on multiple occasions, and God did not respond to him. And so I think there are times that God's silence is very real, and it's necessary for whatever it is that we're stepping into. And it's not an expression of God's lack of love or care, but it's a real piece of living on this earth.
Yeah, I'm going to keep going a little bit. This is really fascinating to me. Hopefully it is to our listener.
Why don't you just host?
Sorry.
Why don't you just take over?
It makes me think that when God is silent, that his silence, I'm just thinking this out loud, I wonder if his silence is also revealing something about himself to us. It's not what we want. It can often painful, but even that is showing us something about his character. Or
I think it absolutely is. I mean, I had a lot of years where I was having like severe panic attacks and severe anxiety, and I cried out to God over and over and over again, and I felt like all I received was the silence of God. And I think that was shaping me and forming me, and it was causing me to recognize that God was holding my faith and sustaining my faith, even though I was disappointed with the way that he didn't pull me out of that situation. And so I think in those times, like, God is doing something in us and shaping us in ways that he knows is more important than giving us an understanding of his nearness to us. And so, I mean, his promise is that he's near to the brokenhearted. He saves those who are crushed in spirit. And yet I think often his nearness doesn't look like what we had hoped it would look like.
Yeah, and I think we're caught in a place where the only ways that we can explain it, describe it, defend it is in the wording that we understand. So it may seem as if God is silent or God is absent, but that's how we are experiencing it. So that's what we know to say. And I think, and we've all experienced this, where a year later we look back on that period of time, we're like, oh, no, God was absolutely active. And I was unable to see it because I was defining that activity in the ways that I knew to define it.
Which makes me think, I wonder if a better way to think about those times, rather than saying God is being silent, is saying I'm experiencing God's presence or something as silence.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and I think often in our Western culture, we see God's presence, his nearness, his glory as our problem removal. And so when our problem is not removed, there then is this wrestling of, well, God didn't do this thing for me. And so how was he present despite that? And so then it's actually looking at how God has promised to be near us. And so it's, that he's sustained faith and that he's given us the courage to do hard things and that he's given us the perseverance we need to keep walking forward and on and on and on. And so it's really pressing into the areas that God has actually made promises to us beyond simply problem removal.
Kirsten showed me this Australian pop duo, Savage Garden.
Yes, I remember them.
Yeah. And they had I Knew I Loved You Before I Met You.
I bet that's the song. I just heard it a few months ago.
I think I dreamed you into this life. I knew I loved you before I met you.
So cheesy.
I have been waiting all my life.
Oh man. Oh, I hate it so much. But yeah, I bet that's it.
I hate that you know that. Savage Garden, everyone.
It's a weird name. Anyway.
One of the things you said on Sunday a couple times was, and this is something that we've kind of discussed over the years, what we love shapes us. And you gave the examples of rock climbing, something else, and cheesecake. Art. Yeah. So why did I forget art? Rock climbing, art, and cheesecake. Helpful examples, somewhat humorous, I know, and but what do you all think about? Are there examples in your life where you can think about? I mean, I opened our time together by saying what's a thing that you're loving right now. Has that shaped the way that you're currently living?
Quick question before I answer. Eric, do you rock climb?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nobody does like Savage Garden.
No, it's not true.
Why'd you ask that?
I don't know. I just was
did
picturing Eric climbing.
Did you fancy him as a rock climber?
I have long reach. I think I'd be a decent rock climber. I think.
Yeah,
I don't have the strength
There's
anymore.
not a lot of sitting in rock climbing.
I do like to sit.
Yeah.
Would you strap on Lisa like one of those dog packs like on your back?
She is too heavy. Oh my goodness.
Who is?
Oh, it's working.
I got trapped. To answer your question, yes. So
what's an example?
Taking a walk.
Yeah, okay.
So it's shaping my life by how I spend my time and energy right now in the mornings and often in the evenings. I haven't bought the gear. I'm sure there's walking gear out there. I haven't done that. I haven't read the walking
Isn't there
magazines.
the walking company at the mall? You can go look at shoes there.
I haven't bought special shoes for it. So there's more I can get into, I'm sure. But yes, it has shaped how I spend my time and energy anyway.
Eric's looking for a sponsorship in his walking career from this podcast. What do you think about your examples, or maybe there's another example if that's not the example that comes to mind?
I don't think the example I used earlier is the one that I think of, but I think one thing that I recognize a love for is just approval. I feel like that's a wide thing.
Oh, you're getting deeper.
But I think I have thought a lot about that recently, how much approval shapes my life, whether that's from people, whether that's even from trying to gain the Lord's approval or favor, which is already there. So I think that's been a big one for me. I see it in even how my humor presents itself, how I even physically present myself, the things that I'm willing to say in conversations or not willing to say. I just think it has a huge influence on how I act around others.
Yeah, so I was going to go there. I was going to try to going to get to that. What are some practical? No, you did fine. That's fine. I think it gets us there quicker. I mean, there are practical examples: rock climbing, walking, cheesecake, art, all of the the physical things that we'd grab onto and say, "Yeah, I love that." I think something, and you didn't get at this a whole lot yesterday, but I think it's something that we will get into, and it's certainly there. There are things underneath each of our practical loves that are actually pushing that practical love to the surface. So you just mentioned a bunch. You started, I don't know if you even recognize you did this. You said something about approval, but then you listed all the ways that it comes out. And so I think even let's take it off of Betty so that it's not personal. Rock climbing. Mm-hmm. There's probably something behind rock climbing that the desire is there, to go do that. So if in isolation, in a vacuum, probably one wouldn't say, I just love rock climbing as a thing in itself, on its own, in isolation, no one around me.
Not connected to
anything else. I chose that. There's something underneath that. Hypothetical, what could those things be? What do you think?
Outdoors.
For rock climbing? Yeah. I mean, there's a community that comes with it. Yeah. There's a way to prove yourself that you can do hard things, scary things, make it to the top.
Okay.
I think like fitness too, and valuing like your body and how you treat it.
Yeah. Does that make sense what I'm getting at? Like the things that we would say, oh, I love that. There's a deeper love underneath it. And that's where you jump to that quickly, Betty, that like you have a longing for approval. And we could all talk about those things, right? We have a longing for acceptance. We have a longing for whatever, fill in the blank. We have a longing to be seen and understood. And
well, even, I mean, silly things like me loving the fire. I mean, what the fire in the fireplace does is it's something that probably feels more like home than anything else, like just sitting there. And I'm like, I love comfort. And so that is one thing, but it also, like, I think it fulfills a temporary longing that we have this longing for home. We have this longing for eternity. And so there's these small pockets in life that fill, not completely, but fill these longings that we have, and it'll never be fully fulfilled here on earth. Yeah. But there are these small things in our life. And so, walking for you, Eric, fulfills peace. It fulfills like a time to be quiet. You've said before that you pray a lot when you're walking. And so it does fulfill. And I don't think it's always a bad thing that it's fulfilling. No. Like, yeah. I think it does represent maybe mercies given to us from God that give us just small pockets and tastes of things on earth that one day will be experienced fully in eternity. And so, so me sitting by the fire, and maybe that's where I see God's glory, is understanding that the peace that I find there, or the comfort, or just the ease that I experience when I'm sitting by the fire and feeling the warmth. And I understand that this is a small taste of what God has for me in eternity, and I can then point all affection to Him for that.
Yeah, and that's, I think, Betty, your example was really helpful of approval. We all have those, but they don't, I agree with you, Kirsten, they don't always have to be, oh, that's a negative thing, and I need to try to push against that. So I think I've thought about this a lot over the last couple months, is I am loving being in my shed, doing woodworking, being creative. And there's a piece of me that I've really tried to grab onto in this, and this is by God's grace, to say, well, God is the creator, and He's given me an opportunity to mirror Him in creativity. And so there's a piece of me being in that place that it draws me in because, oh man, I get to mirror my creator in this. So I think that's something that could be a helpful practice for all of us. Anytime, and I think we throw the word around, oh, I love that. Okay, what's beneath that? What's beneath that? What's beneath that? What are the roots of that thing that really get at some heart related issues? And maybe they're good. Maybe they're right and God-given, and maybe they're not. Maybe they're things we can confess and turn from.
Can approval be, I don't know. I think when I view it, I don't view it very positive. Like that there is a place for it to have positive meaning or positive spin to it. Or is it more like the practical things, like the physical things that has like approval as an underlying factor to it? Does that make sense? Like, is it more like the practical pieces where like you're searching for approval, or can approval itself have like the positive?
Well, I know. Yeah. But I think there are things that we want acceptance. And so because of that, I'm trying to do things sinfully that are going to make me feel accepted. I think, in thinking of approval, I think there's, if you get to a place of recognizing that, which you have, which I think is a gift from God, I think the way that we then look at it in a gospel, God-honoring way is to say, my approval from people around me will never fully bring me satisfaction, but I know that my God approves of me because of what Jesus has done. I think that's where the spin is right, and it's honoring and it's worshipful to express that and to say that's where God meets me in this, to know, thank you, God, for bringing that to mind. Now I know that you are the one who approves of me.
Yeah, I mean, I think every good thing that we experience here on earth is also tainted by sin. And so we're never going to fully experience God's glory or God's goodness in the things that we have, because it's also marred by living on a sinful, broken world. But like Vince said, I think it is approval, and a desire for it is, I think, a reflection of a heart that's longing for approval of God or a relationship with God. And so in that is a beautiful thing. Like, your heart was made to worship. It was made to long for God and relationship with him. And so it's tainted when the approval then turns to trying to please man and please people around you, and even trying to please God, because like Vince said, he's already pleased with you because of what Christ has done. And yet I think deep at the root of that is this beautiful desire for relationship. And so I think that in all of those things, you can see what was originally intended for that now has been affected by sin. But even in approval, I think you can see there's desire for relationship where there's not brokenness.
That's true. I think even thinking of a relationship is helpful. The example that kept coming to mind for approval is a silly one, but it's the consumption of hot dogs.
Yeah, I was going to say, share it.
But I see, like, yeah, it's silly, and some of it was like, oh, I want the youths to think I'm cool. But I think some of it too is to also, like, I think in some ways it helps establish relationship with maybe middle school boys who wouldn't have thought that I was someone worth like spending time with otherwise. Like, that there still is that longing for a relationship in it, even if it's a silly example. I'm not going to say that I love eating that many hot dogs at once, because I don't.
I can assure you that they think you're cool. You probably have about 10 more years. And then you get to this age where it doesn't matter what you do, you're not cool. So I think that's the case. I would back up on one thing you said and bring some correction to it. Sorry to do this publicly. You said that everything on earth has been affected by sin and its consequences. I would say yes, except cheesecake. Right?
Hey, you and I.
Yeah, Eric and I have an affection for cheesecake together.
But if there's cheesecake in
that's
heaven,
it. Let's close in prayer.
Will overindulgence make you fat and unhealthy?
You won't overindulge.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I think backing up a little bit further, in all seriousness, I think it's a good question for discussion. It's a good question for contemplation. Is the things that you do love, like, where is the purity behind that? Like, where is the thing that is truly God honoring behind it? And I think that it could be helpful, especially for people who maybe struggle with shame or struggle with narratives of failure or self-deprecation, like taking some time to really peel back the things that you struggle with and recognize that all of those things have beautiful roots that God would like to redeem and show his glory through. And so really taking time to unravel that and consider, what are the beautiful roots here, and how can I see God's glory despite the fact, besides cheesecake, that it has been marred by sin and it has been affected by the brokenness of this world. Like, there is beauty in the roots of what is a part of you, and God would love for you to see that. So take some time to really consider that. And if you can't come up with anything that's beautiful about it, like, let's meet and talk, or talk with your township, or talk with somebody, because I imagine somebody could help you see that there is beauty underneath all the dirt that's there.
It's all gotten twisted, and it's all gotten jacked up because of sin, its consequences and effects in this life. That's something that I know you're trapped with time, but yesterday I had this thought, like, there are things, and you mentioned this, that rock climbing, art, cheesecake, those things aren't bad. But I think we often, in Christian circles, we often talk about the things that could make those things bad. to the neglect of talking about the things that are beautiful about the good gifts that God's given us.
Yeah, which is why I think at the very beginning, that second camp that people tend to fall into, like the aesthetic lifestyle, uncomfortable clothing, all of that, rid yourself of other loves. I think this conversation is why that is a wrong perspective.
Yeah.
And when you preach through Ecclesiastes, how many years ago was that?
That was years, yeah.
A long time ago. I mean, that was a big point you brought out. These are things that God's given us to enjoy and reflect back to him.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like the study of Ecclesiastes right now with the college group, that's been really helpful for reshaping some of my views of things. And I think the things that I've brought up in study that I've been challenged by are often like, oh, I don't feel like we're allowed to enjoy this thing, or struggling with how can we actually enjoy these gifts God has given us. So that's been helpful to reshape that for me.
Yeah, but God, our Father, who delights in us, also delights in giving good gifts to us so that we would enjoy them. So that we would enjoy them, but so that our affections aren't just turned to the thing he's given us to enjoy, but turned to the giver of the things that have been given to enjoy.
Yeah, that's the ditch, right? Is to make those into idols.
Yeah.
But if we use that logic, that if we push this thing too far, we'll fall into a ditch as Christians. If you apply that to all of life, it's just paralyzing. You can't do anything because you're aware of this ditch. It's a good ditch to be aware of, but that can cause us to be paralyzed.
Okay. We're hitting time here. Anything else you want to tie up loose ends, Eric, or wrap anything up, or point us in a direction for the coming times together?
I really want to turn a corner into how do we live? Like what's our role? What's our role in our spiritual formation?
That'll be easy. Just name like give a
just
list.
Tell us all the things we have to do in a checklist. Well,
yeah, that's the danger, isn't it?
No, that's what we need. We need that, Eric. We're all salivating, waiting for you to tell us what we should do.
So,
Eric and I have talked. I won't give it away, but I think where Eric is heading is going to be really helpful for us as a church long term. I think all these conversations have been really helpful, big picture for us as a church. They've been shaping all of us as we consider some of this stuff. So I think just be ready, be prepared for what's coming. I think we're being formed and shaped, and God is pleased by our investigation of this. So thanks, Eric. Yeah. All right. Any final words, closing words, Betty? You look like you want to say something.
Well, I actually do want to say something, but are we not doing the last question?
Oh, the final question. No, let's not do it.
No. Hey.
No, we don't have to. All right, Eric.
I'm too legalistic not to.
What about this topic of discussion raises your affections for God?
Did you have you had a different question?
Yeah, it's not
first.
Important, so I was maybe thinking we should do this first.
We'll do this first, and then we'll come back to you, Betty.
I didn't know if it was
going to be about hot
previous
dogs.
Discussions.
It's going to be about hot dogs. All right. What about this topic raises your affections for God?
I also like Eric's rewording of the question is, what is God like in this topic of discussion?
Yeah, I stole that from somebody else.
I don't think I was here. I think I missed a couple of the podcasts. I don't remember. I didn't know that. So if you want to do that question, fine.
It's the same question.
Hey, if someone else wants to host this, fine, okay?
I think it makes me just realize once again that I think God is really confusing in a lot of ways, and he's so much bigger and so much more glorious than we could ever begin to comprehend or understand. And so there's a lot of pieces that we love God because he first loved us, and yet there's times that the things that God allows or the things that God does don't feel loving, and yet ultimately they are loving. And so I think we often try to understand God, and he can't be understood. And so we just have to settle into the fact that he's good and he's loving, and so much so that we can't comprehend it.
I think for me, it was just seeing that God is an initiator of relationship with us, like through his love. And when we think of human relationship, I think we think of it swapped. Like we can enter into relationship with God because he loves us. But I think often when we enter into relationship with others, our love is a result of that relationship, or the way we feel about them or whatever it may be is a result of that relationship. So it's just cool to see how different that is with God. It's because of his love that we can have that relationship.
Yeah, I'm struck by God calling us to love himself, which means he's rescuing us from finding our ultimate loves in anything else that will always at some point not satisfy us.
As you all were talking, it's hard to listen to you and try to think of my own answer at the same time. So here I go. I think the thing that came to mind as we walk through this on Sunday and even now is the beautiful truth that God has loved me first and has invited me in to love him is profound, and the only reason that I am bending toward him now at all is because that continues. Because there have been moments over the last months and years where that certainly has not been an appealing thing for me. But to bend in that direction and continue to do that when there's no real, I may get slapped for saying this, there's no real immediate benefit for my love of God right now, or at least a tangible, seeable, visible benefit for my love for God. And yet I still do by his grace. And that's him pulling on me.
I heard someone say once that anytime there's any act of faith, or we choose to worship, or we choose love, or we choose obedience, or whatever it is, that is an evidence of the Spirit at work in us. And anytime, it was in regards to anxiety for me, and just anytime that we, choose or experience something that's not anxiety, that is a mercy from God. And so just recognizing that any faith that we have is evidence of God's work in our life, that we would never, ever choose to do something that's pleasing to God apart from his Spirit at work in us. And so all of it is a reflection of God's grace to us.
One more thought, which blows my mind, because that means that the very thing that God requires of us, which is love for him, he supplies. He's the one initiating, he's the one revealing himself. And so he gives us what he requires of us, which is crazy to me, but how good our God is to his children.
It's good. Betty, do you want to insert your comment now?
Yes, it's not important, but it felt controversial in this circle, so that's why I wanted to say it. I don't really like cheesecake. So I just wanted to share that.
No, hey, there's room for you.
Thank you.
We read the welcome every week to all who are weary, to all who fail and desire strength. You're welcome.
I was going to say that's kind, because there are a lot of things that I like that I feel like I get attacked for.
Eric is leaving. Eric just walked out. All right, everybody. See you later.